And it looks like we're live. Greetings and salvations. I am Unthulf Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you are listening to Eldritch Rants, the show that dares to ask the questions: how many three-letter government agencies does it take to plunge the world into World War III? The answers to these questions and many more will be answered by our very small panel of experts. I introduce to you Keck, who is currently the top minister of truth over in Kekazuela, whose job is apparently to spread love and beatings. And also Mr. Gurr from the UK, who works for a mysterious organization that if I actually said it online, my computer would explode. Any rate, how are you guys doing with the impending apocalypse?
Shite.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am at, where I'm like, yeah, we're all kind of screwed, and boy, it's going to be a hell of a ride when it happens. So, shall we start off with the hot topics, or did you want to ease into something smaller?
Let's go in big.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we got the big three, but in my opinion, the top two are either North Korea, where we all blow up, or Googleology, the new cult that's taken over Silicon Valley. Which one do you want to start with?
Google.
Yeah, let's get that shite out of the way.
Yeah, especially since it's on YouTube. And it also addresses something I want to bring up, but we'll talk about it briefly. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure everybody knows if you're on YouTube, that a person, young individual working at Google, started looking around and made the mistake of thinking for himself. So he wrote up a 10-page memo and started passing around to his friends for several months. And whenever anybody got it, they looked at it and said, yeah, you know, you got a couple of details here wrong, but overall, yeah, you're right. You're okay. Nothing's going to change, but yeah, you're right. Until the memo leaked out into the general public. Then social justice warriors descended upon it like locusts descending upon a crop of corn. Whereupon he was called a misogynist. He was called racist, that he was a white supremacist, and that he was calling for the firing of all women at Google. And then the memo was captured up by, I forget which newspaper outlet or somebody, but they edited his paper to remove all the charts, all of the citations, and all of his sources for reasons. And then they promptly called him a monster. If you actually read his 10-page memo, or even like the first line, he basically says, I don't believe that people are statistical bell curves. Everybody should be treated as an individual, and the only thing I'm protesting is the echo chamber. Which, by the way, he proved existence by the fact that 24 hours after this broke onto the internet, he got his ass bounced out of there for promoting negative female stereotypes or sexist stereotypes or whatever they use. And the fact of the matter,
which he didn't actually do.
Yeah, I don't think he actually talked about female stereotypes at all. So, your thoughts on all of this rigmarole before I get into it?
Well, technically Google's not like a government business, so they do have the right to fire anybody, based on something that would negatively impact their company, such as a reputation for being somehow sexist. But at the same time, they really should have looked at how it would affect their company to fire him, because I think that them supporting the free speech would be a better platform than not, because as much as feminists are that don't like free speech are a loud voice, there's a lot more people who do support free speech.
Concur entirely. Mr. Gurr?
Absolutely. And plus, I want to get into the whole where the CEO said that he had gone against some policies. And I still just can't really get my head around which ones they would be for actually just thinking for yourself and giving statistics and facts.
Who knows, maybe that is against the policy.
Yeah, that is a that is a possibility. Unfortunately, I think what we're dealing with here is, I was listening to some of Stex and Hammer a while ago, and I got to agree with one of his assessments where we are in the middle of a moral panic, which is, kind of like the Red Scare or the Satanic Panic, or you can go back to the 1920s or the 1890s. Society starts to look after a genuine problem. Spies from Russia, abuse children. And then they expand what they're searching for. Satanists, Wiccans, people with bad hair. What we've been going through is we're looking for racists and, people being discriminated against, which, overall people like. Hey, we don't want discriminations. We're good people. Then it expanded to men. And then it expanded to whites. And then it expanded to gay men. And now it's expanding to white women who used to think that they were on the right side. I mean, that's one thing I'm noticing is that the minority who was the majority is now making themselves the minority again because they're alienating everybody. And the only result that happens is eventually you start accusing too many people and people start coming online and just going, you're an idiot, F you. And I think it's happening faster because we have the internet. I don't know if you heard about, I know this isn't technically related, but I feel it is. Did you hear about how down in Australia they've stopped hiring men for their army? They're only going to hire women until they fix the gender ratio.
They're going to fucking die.
That's insane.
I just saw that video about it bearing a few hours ago.
Yeah, what I want to shout is, okay, if there's 100 people and I remove 50 of those people and I only pick the best out of the remaining 50, I haven't picked the best person. And she goes, oh, so you think women can't do the job? And I'm like, no, I didn't even, but that's what's happening. That's what's happening at Google. And honestly, if you look at Google, if you remove that it's personal choice, only 20% of Google's hires are women. So the only option that we have to conclude is that Google is a bunch of sexist assholes. I mean, if it isn't personal choice, it's got to be sexism. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially going back to the Australian Army thing, because, well, say if you have 50 women and 50 men at boot camp or basic training, I'm not quite sure how many the average is that actually pass, but you know damn well that it's going to be the majority of men. So what are they going to propose that they do then?
It was 17%, by the way.
17% pass.
17% of women passed.
All right.
I think something like that. It was a low number, and that was after lowering the bar. So, but here's
so
my
even if they lower the bar, it's still going to mean more men get in as well, unless they say we can only take in so many men.
I mean, personally, I want them to do it. I want them to do this crazy thing because this crazy thing will blow up in their face so bad. I want to see it blow up. I want to see it implode. I want to see them make this, because this harkens back to the 1900s, back in Mexico, when they were forming their armies to revolt against the Mexican. Like there almost was a revolt, but they were doing crazy things like this, where they were like, oh, we need parity, everything was done by democracy, and you had to be popular to pull things off. And guess what happened? They got their asses handed to them. So, I mean, it was one of the shortest revolutions ever. This is kind of the same thing. Whether you like it or not, war sucks. And men are expendable. Yeah. It shouldn't be that way, but we are. And that's the way society has functioned. Now, I don't think it has to be that way. But you're turning around and saying, okay, we want to make women equal to men. Great. We will make women equally expendable. No, that's the wrong direction. We want men to stop being expendable. not to make women just as expendable as men. Okay, men can't have children, so women want women to not have children. What? Why are you so not just pro-abortion, but pushing abortion?
Yeah.
Like, you want to make it so women can't have children. That's not equal. Yeah, but it's what happens if you believe all this Marxist bullshit.
I mean, I know there's no wars that Australia are actually involved in at the moment, as far as I'm aware. But what would they do if they're on the front lines, or especially in somewhere like Afghanistan?
Oh, that isn't going to be the problem.
Iraq.
I'll tell you where the point of failure is. They don't do what America does, which is we have the armed forces and then we have the National Guard. And whenever there's a problem on the home front, a disaster, whatever, we break out the National Guard. They don't have that down in Australia. I mean, I could be wrong, but last I checked, they did. They have their national army. So when they have a national disaster and they need to call out the troops, they call out the army. Now, I hate to tell you this, Australia sucks. This is the deadliest continent that tries to kill you so many ways. They don't have exploding trees, but they do have their own Widowmaker. I mean, they have a tree that tries to kill you not by exploding. It just drops heavy branches on you if you lean on it wrong. What happens when they have a flood? What happens when they have a fire? What happens when they have a disaster and then they trot out these women who are 5 foot nothing, 98 pounds, hauling 80 pounds worth of gear, and they need to, suppress a riot. They need to put out a fire. They need to rescue people who are being flooded. I'm sorry, but if you're not there's a reason why we want big, strong men, because big, strong men can wade through a flood, grab somebody off the top of a roof, and carry his ass through that flood back to safety. Because sometimes somebody needs to do that. It's not going to be war that's the problem. That's not going to be it. It's going to be when they have a natural disaster, and sending in the armed forces actually results in more casualties.
Yeah, I mean, if you give a woman a gun, she's going to be almost, if not as deadly as a man with a gun. But put her in that situation where she actually has to use raw strength, and women are just not as strong as men.
Now, don't get me wrong, though. I have seen women who I look at and go, damn, I wish I had a body like that. Okay, so don't get me wrong. There are women out there stronger than me. But then again, I didn't make it into the army. Okay, so, but if you go by straight meritocracy and there's a woman out there who wants to go get killed and she's strong enough to pass the same rigor as everybody else, go for it. Go for it, do it. But
let's be honest, they're not all going to be Ronda Rousey, though, are they?
And most of them aren't going to even want to do it. All right, let's be honest about that. Most women are not chomping at the bit to go get killed. And that's what you're doing when you join the army. You're saying, I believe I'm a superhero and I'm the one who won't die. No, somebody's going to die. Might be you.
About 15% of females that join the British Army do it for one reason: to find a husband.
Are you kidding me?
God.
Wow. That's amazing.
You're
Here in
50.
America, they reward you for marrying a soldier. You get a bunch of perks if you get married. I should know because the first woman I married, I proposed to. We were going to be married. We didn't quite get married. When I went off to college, I proposed to her and said, we're going to get married when I get back. And while I was gone, she met some guy in the army, joined the army with him, and they got married. Behind my back.
Oh.
She got married behind my back. Like, I didn't hear that she had gotten married until I got home. That shows you how much of an idiot I am.
Yeah.
And also, how well I dodged that bullet. She made me depressed for a year. But I'll tell you this, in retrospect, I'm like, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You did me a huge favor there. I appreciate it. It hurt, but I needed to learn that. Bring it back to Google. Google's doing the same thing. and I honestly believe that whoever is in charge of Google doesn't believe all this shit. Or because they keep putting out statements that support his shit when they're accused of being sexist or not paying people. They go, the wage gap doesn't exist. It's wage earnings that is the issue.
No, they'll say that they're working on doing it, and then they'll break out some women are doing different jobs, so are not getting paid more. But we're working on making this wage gap smaller. It's like the whole Audi thing.
Yeah, they debunk it, and then they say we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Google, I think, unfortunately suffers from the left hand not knowing what the right hand is learning. Or actually, in this case, the 500 hands on the left don't know what the 1,000 on the right are doing. It's just too big.
Yeah.
When it worked was when it had a bunch of, I hate to say this, white geeks with no wives or family or nothing. They had nothing going for them socially. They all probably smelled and didn't wash much. So the only thing they had going for them is, some serious knowledge that could probably put, I don't know, Seattle on the moon if they wanted to. And they instead used their smarts to build up a huge company, got ludicrously rich, and then they left. There's very few of the original founders of Google still there in a direct capacity because they made ludicrous amounts of money and left. I would. I mean, I've seen it time and time again.
Can anyone remember how much Google paid the two guys that created YouTube in the first place?
Oh, yeah.
Either 5 million or 5 billion.
It was an insane amount. It was an insane amount of money. It was more than enough money for you to say, I'm never going to work again.
Yeah.
It was a crazy amount of money. I think it was in the billions, though.
Yeah, I can remember them putting out a video on the day that sold it, because we were on the front page of YouTube at the time saying, we just sold the company to Google for X amount of money. And I'm just there thinking in the back of my mind, they're going to get their dick sucked tonight. I just know it.
Well, I mean, but that is the point. Then Google turns around and goes, okay, we spent $5 billion on this thing. We got to make a profit from it. And then they discover the way that you get a profit is the way it's been run. They don't want to run it that way. They want to run it their political way. So they start censoring shit, which brings me, talk about this a bit more, but then I'm going to bring up the topic that I really don't want to talk about. Do you have any other comments on this mess?
Well, the only thing that the one thing that Google did right to start making a profit on it, even though it doesn't even break even still, was when they started putting ads on videos. Everything else, they've just fucked it up.
I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is YouTube going to continue to be a viable platform?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
See, I'm beginning to think that maybe what I should be doing is we should be moving the live streaming to Twitch. And
possibly
maybe uploading, archive copies to YouTube. And see, the problem is, and this is it, I'd like to go to VidMe, except I don't have the 50 subscribers. And a lot of the videos I want to move over are too big. They won't take anything that they have to be under 30 minutes, and I don't want to break everything up. So.
Well, if you get what you call it, what's the word? Verified.
Yeah, the problem is I need to get verified, which they want 50 subscribers for. So.
Oh, do you? Oh, that sucks.
So.
Yeah, and doesn't subscribing cost money?
No, not a VidMe. I just need to find 50 people.
They've got followers and subscribers, haven't they?
Yeah, I don't need the subscribers. I just need people to follow. So this brings me to the point where I really didn't want to do this. To anybody who's listening, I'm going to put in the description later a link to my VidMe account. Please go over there and follow me. Soon as I get 50 followers, that's great. I'm not asking you to do it because I want followers. You either follow me because you listen to what I have to say. I don't like hoeing it. I'm not Whitey YouTuber. Okay. I'm not here to beg for subs. I'm here to ask for a favor. Subscribe long enough for me to get verified over there so that I can just transfer everything over. And by the way, just so you know, you might be saying, well, not all your videos are that long. You don't know how long I've been doing this. I've got 3 different channels, 2 that I no longer use anymore. And I would like to consolidate them all to one place. I probably got close to 400 or 500 videos. A bunch of them are well over an hour. A lot of it has nothing to do with politics. That's why I keep this separate here. But I'd like to have it all in one spot. And I don't want to do that on YouTube because I don't trust them. So if you're listening to this, I'm asking, please come over, subscribe long enough for me to get those 50 frickin' subs. And then when we're done, maybe we can go over to Mr. Gurr, Kekistani Tranny, and with them, we'll from there, after that, thank you. I appreciate it. But it's time for us to start, filling the escape craft, in other words. And I feel it's about time that I need to find another site and move all the videos off because I've got to assume at some point they're going to come for me. It's the reason, by the way, as for subscribing here, if you're just listening and you're not somebody normally a content creator, I usually say only subscribe if you're a content creator. Anyone can subscribe to my VidMe. I'd like only content creators to subscribe on YouTube because it's not safe. And if I go over 1,000 subs, I pop up on a lot of radar. And I can't do what I do and help people if I draw too much attention. However, VidMe's looking great. All right, so anybody wants to subscribe to me on VidMe, go over there, take a look. And I recommend the place as a whole. It's nowhere near as big as YouTube, so it doesn't have the vast selection. But there's some very thoughtful, high-quality content people there. And there's also Minds, but to be honest, I don't really understand Minds. I can't they're not very searchable. I don't know about anybody else. Maybe I'm just too old. But when I try to find stuff on Minds, it seems like it's a much better place for me to blog. I've been thinking of uploading a lot of writing there and keeping that to my writing location, VidMe for, main serious videos, YouTube being an archive place just to throw stuff up and to assume that at some point they're going to come for me and just delete my channel. Which they are. They're going to. I'm not big enough to be noticed, but my content is far more salacious than stuff that other people are getting dinged on.
Yes. Same here.
When I showed some of my videos of Eldritch lessons to those feminists, holy shit. That was like, oh, you want to debate? Okay, yeah, here's what I think. It's like, and I mean, look at my Eldritch lessons. They are pretty, as far as I'm concerned, pretty logical. Okay, they're not very offensive. Oh my God, that shut down the conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm thinking it's time that everybody out there, because this is a channel for content creators, you need to plan on this ship going down. And so that's why I'm thinking, and I don't know if you guys have been checking out streaming on Twitch for political reasons, but they have switched. It used to be just gaming, but they have a relatively thriving market for streamers, for people who are doing what we're doing right now. So I'm going to post it up on the Discord for everybody to discuss, but I'm thinking that maybe it's about time that we switched over there full time. Because I don't think right now YouTube deserves our input. The sooner that YouTube realizes that they're hemorrhaging content and that people don't want to watch safe, sanitized, Ministry of Truth crap, the sooner they might change or the sooner they'll implode. I'm not sure which. Your thoughts on my doom and gloom?
Since YouTube is inevitably going to die sometime in the future, can you please make sure that you move the cat videos too? Keep them.
Oh yeah, that is one of my channels. I don't know if you saw
yeah.
Yeah, I put a lot of work into that. I mean, most of those cats have either been adopted or passed away, but yeah, I should move those over too.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, how YouTube will survive, or say if it just keeps on going and people just that do make safe, sanitized content continue doing what they do. Because they've got a lot of categories that we probably don't even think of, like all the Vine shit and makeup, other cats and things like that. If they're gonna stay on YouTube, then there's other platforms like VidMe,
Hey,
Vimeo.
Randy!
Hey, Randy.
Did you get your microphone fixed yet?
I guess we'll find out in a moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it works.
Awesome!
Yep.
Welcome by, Randy. Been a while. Glad you finally managed to figure out how to get on Discord. I don't know if you've been listening.
I just redid a bunch of stuff inside my computer today, so now it works.
All right, well, they'll give you a
Cool.
brief summary. We've been talking about the coming, the takeover of the cult of Google. Google's basically turned into a cult. That guy that they fired for daring to say you're an echo chamber, and we've been talking about whether or not it's time for content creators to diversify out. And I've been talking to people, and I think that it's about time that at the very least I took all of because I've got more than one channel. I've got like 3. I probably got a couple hundred videos. And I'm going to consolidate them all over to VidMe as soon as I can get 50 subscribers, not subscribers or followers or whatever they call it over there, because I can't get verified without 50. But once I do, I'm going to flood that because I don't know if you can trust YouTube anymore. And that's basically what we've discussed so far. Well, what are your thoughts on whether or not YouTube is still going to be viable, or whether or not it's doomed, or whether or not it's going to become the next Yahoo?
I'm sure it's perfectly viable if you're doing the things they want to allow you to do on there. But other than that, diversifying and spreading your videos and other stuff over several platforms has always kind of been the way if you can figure out how to do it, if you can handle figuring out how to do it effectively on the different platforms, because they can be radically different deals from each other.
That would be, I would actually pay money for that. If somebody had a site that said, we will upload your video to, you get the account and give us the information, and we will make sure to mirror your account on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, VidMe, Minds, wherever you want it, you give us one video and we upload it to all the other places. And you can even time it so it gets uploaded at certain times. I think I would pay for that kind of service.
How much would you pay?
I do believe, I don't know if
$10 a month. That's
I don't know if Hootsuite does that or not, but
who?
There was a service called Hootsuite that did it for most of your social media, but I don't know what they do anymore.
Yeah, I looked into one or two, and when I tried them out, it was like it didn't work. But maybe that's because I'm an idiot. I'm a genius. I just don't understand this electronic newfangled things. These flippity gibbets and these bits and whatever you children use these days.
I don't even understand it.
I'm pretty sure with OBS you can stream to several different platforms at the same time if you want to.
I tried that and I crashed the network. So I just don't have the bandwidth to pull that off. But yes, you can. In fact, I figured out a way using OBS to not only stream to multiple locations, but I had multiple chats from multiple platforms all feed to the same location so I could monitor everything at once. And then my computer locked up so bad I had to literally go in, trash the preferences, and reboot. I just don't have the processing power to pull it off. But it is possible, if you've got a good rig, but you're not doing it off a laptop.
No, probably not.
So, do you guys have any advice other than Minds and VidMe, which seems to be the two top contenders, with Twitch being the contender for live streaming? Any other suggestions for platforms? Me, I see mine's more for writing than videos, but that's just me.
Well, there's Vimeo and Dailymotion as well, but
I
both
thought-
of those just don't seem. I don't know, that just something about them that just don't really resonate.
Yeah, I looked into video.
Vimeo. Yeah.
I don't know. I like when I look at it, I get a creepy feeling. I can't explain it. Like that kind of feeling I get when I'm dealing with child molesters. That's not to say they're a bunch of child molesters or that it's on the site. It's just that weird feeling I get.
It just seems a bit off.
There's something off.
And with
one of the ideas I was thinking is you can always upload them and either keep them private or unlisted or whatever. And then if you have a blog or a website that you run, I mean, you can run one of those for $10 a month and then embed them on the website for like the harsher shit and use your AdSense or your AdWords or whatever in the hell it is to get the advertising on the page instead of on the videos. I just don't know if it'll work though.
You know, that's an interesting topic and something I need to look into. I have been avoiding the whole making money off of this thing because for me, it's never been about the money. It's always been about the message. But there is reason to do it.
If that was it, you could you could do it that way and just keep the money off of it. And hell, you could do it on a Blogspot page and just get your own URL. It's free.
Right. But
I mean, it's gonna cost you to get the URL, but I mean, you pay for that 2-3 years at a time for like $50. You know, that ain't so bad. And then just forward your URL to a damn Blogspot page and do it there.
Well, yeah, but my point that I'm bringing up is that maybe we need to start. At least maybe I need to track down some people who do what we're doing and actually make money at it, and ask them to come by and talk about how they make money. Because some people actually probably do need money. I mean, and let's be honest, money's great. So if anybody's out there who actually does this, and you actually make money at this, contact me because I'd love to have you on the show if for no other reason than to pick your brain. In fact, if anybody who's got over 1,000 scrubs wants to come by, because I've actually sent out a couple invites to people to say, hey, come on, we'd like to ask you how you do what you do. You know, I haven't had any takers yet, but that's been my experience. Once you seem to get over 1,000, you start to get snobby, and then over 5,000, you kind of ignore people. And I don't know if it's just because your email gets overloaded, but I mean, look at white YouTuber. Dear God. That guy used to be a schmuck, and then now he doesn't talk to anybody under 30K subs.
Well, I mean, he's spoken to me a little bit, but mostly just to laugh at me. He's a dick.
Well,
yeah, we don't need cunts like that.
I mean, he's the definition of, if you hoe it enough. He's obviously intent on making some money. I got no problem with that. My problem is that at some point he got arrogant and seemed to think, oh, I'm better than everybody else. No, you're not better than everybody else. I could do what you're doing, and I could probably do it better than you, except I don't want to spend the time, and I don't want people to look at me the way they look at you. Yeah. And let's face facts. Whenever you talk about whitey YouTuber, people roll their eyes. People are vaguely polite to him because, on some level they go, yeah, I wish I had the time and effort to do what he's doing. But in the end, the general opinion that I hear about him behind his back is he's a dick. And he'll probably go, I don't care if anybody thinks I'm a dick. Well, I do. I do care if people think I'm a dick. If you want to think I'm an asshole, I want you to think I'm an asshole because of what I say. I don't want you saying it behind my back. I want you saying it to my face. All right? And then we can discuss it.
That's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, come at me. Tell me what's wrong with me to my face, and we will talk about it. And if you're right, I will change. I will. I don't want to be if I'm an asshole, it's for a reason. It's because I stand by what I believe in. I have planted my feet on the ground, and I'm saying, no, you move. But if you can convince me I'm wrong, then I'll go, you know what? I'm a jerk. I'm wrong on this and I need to back off. And that's a good attitude for anybody to have, as far as I'm concerned. Whitey does not do that. He has come to this point where he thinks he's great, and he actively looks down on new people. And I understand why. He's trying to eliminate competition. If he can drive away noobs, there's less people competing for, space on YouTube. So the minute you start to be successful, it is in your best interest to crush people with under 1,000 subs, because those people might blow up. Those people might become Mr. Gurr, who's like done more videos, like 10 videos since I put up one. The guy's a machine. People
I've not put. I mean, people like Cogs is like a machine, and he does it on the daily. And
but he actually does this full time. Pretty much. You still working, you still put out stuff. Me, I sit down and I go, I'm going to do this. And then I go, oh, wait, the client just showed up and told me that they think there's a monster in the closet, so I have to go search an apartment. I am not kidding. I mean, and I don't want to make fun of them because, honestly, they're here for a reason. And I take it very seriously. I don't just go there and look in the closet. I check under the bed. I check behind everything because, you're terrified for a reason. Something bad happened. And you want to go, hey, there's a monster in the closet. Nope, I'm going to make sure there's not. And I'm thorough about it. But that's my job. My job is to look for monsters in the closet, and occasionally I find one.
Well, I have to say that I am glad that I've reached 666 subscribers. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Proud of you.
Without having to suck any big YouTubers' dicks or jump on their streams or get any shout outs from anyone bigger than myself.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from yourself, Bob. When you had more subscribers than me.
Oh, well, to be honest, I think that anybody, when you're in the 100 range, nobody's bigger than anybody.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, if you're under 100 and the other person's like under 200, you're in the same range.
Yeah.
Because then the people that you got are people who just are kind of keeping track of you, not really people watching you at that point. But you've gotten a lot of people I know are truly watching you. I do want to help with that one video. Speaking of, Randy, how's things been going on your channel?
They're the same old, same old. I try to stream at least once a day with gameplay, and I'm working on doing some other pre-recorded, more focused stuff. I think I got like 35 subscribers. I'd really like to get to 100 so I could get a URL on it, but it'll come.
Oh, yeah. By the way, you got a good flow when you do your videos, by the way. I like the way you chat. I've discovered, I've been trying to follow some gaming. I don't do it a lot, but I've been looking on Twitch a lot because I think I haven't really examined gaming streaming. But when I have watched it, it seems like there's two elements. There's like cool music and the ability to ramble endlessly. That seems to be like the two things when it comes to gaming streaming.
I pretty much just stick to the straight gameplay without any talk, though. And as you can see with my transitions, if somebody starts like I'll do my talking in the chat window since that's on my game screen, explaining what I'm doing. So I just, for some reason, I don't want to just ramble. I can do that I can do that in chat. And then I made the full screen chat window pop up if I actually get in a conversation, because I know people like seeing their shit come up in chat.
Oh, really? Because maybe because I haven't watched everything you've done. I've only looked at some samples, but it seemed like you had a really good chat talk voice. Maybe I was thinking about when you talk with your chatters. Oh, well.
I've got one video that's got my voice in it. That's that message to Cody.
Nah, that's probably when I'm getting screwed up. By the way, I had an event this weekend, so I've forgotten a whole lot of stuff. Unfortunately, things tend to get a little muddled when I have the what do you call it when you forget a bunch of stuff? Amnesia kicks
Yeah.
in. I forgot to go to my doctor who treats my amnesia.
That's just terrible.
And the last time it happened, I didn't know until I got a bill saying you missed your appointment. And then I called up my doctor and said, I'm sorry, I forgot to go to you. And she said, no, I understand you forget things. So I'll get this cleared up. So they were kind enough to waive the you missed your appointment fee. I hope they'll do it again. But man,
See if you can set a reminder on your phone.
I forget. I know people do that. And I say, okay, I'll set it on my phone. Then I forget my phone.
You forget to even do that.
Or here's the thing. It can ring on my phone. I can pick it up. I can look at it. If I don't act on it right then and there, and I close my phone, I can forget it. Like, I can forget things as fast as looking away from something. Not every time, but, you know. On the other hand, it's made me really good at improv, because when you go to work and you have no idea who your boss is, you've got to be able to, like, read body language really good.
See, I set reminders on a phone, and then I end up doing something wrong, and it's set for like monthly or weekly. 15 different alarms on there that are going off at random freaking times because you set the damn alarm wrong. So I just end up turning off the volume, and they all freaking become useless.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing so many times.
I had a whiteboard.
I've gone
that I
so
wrote everything
far
on.
resetting a phone because of it. It's bad.
I had a whiteboard. I had 2 whiteboards. I used to write everything down in a notebook. I lost the notebook. I've taken to, if it's really important, just writing it on my arm. That's the only thing that seems to work. People sometimes wonder why you got all that, ink on your hand. It's because unless I write it on my body, I'll lose it. So, but I didn't write down my appointment on my hand. I forgot to, and yeah. At any rate, pretty much I think we can come to the conclusion here that Google probably won't implode from their new policies of echo chamber, but they're going to hurt themselves over it. I think. I'm sorry.
As the memes say that have been posted around near their building in California, Google, think different. Google, get hired. Apple, no. Google, get. Shit, I've lost it now. Yeah, think different. Apple, get hired. Google, get fired.
Well,
you know what their motto is? Their official motto over at Google? Don't be evil.
One of the things I'm looking forward to with this Google thing, though, is usually when they start going crazy like that in the boardroom, the talent, the guys that are really talented, see that the company doesn't have their best interests at mind anymore, and they tend to split off and do their own thing. I think in genetics they call it speciation. But
yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see what companies spawn out of this and what booms and busts, because you never know what kind of better thing might come out of this kind of fuck up. The unintended consequences, a little more forward of just what, so what, Google and YouTube are dicks. We've known that for a while. And we've got along fine with it being that way. We've always figured out something, or they're going to push the people that are making their company good too damn far, and they're going to go make their own companies, and then we'll have something better. So I don't think we're really in a zero-sum game here.
Well, that's how YouTube started in the first place. 2 guys working for, was it eBay? And then they decided to try and make YouTube.
Well, my long-term projection is this. We are reaching the crest of the moral panic. Okay? All of this craziness is now reaching that point where they've expanded the definition of what evil is to the point where they're accusing everybody. So, and it's getting out into the news. It's getting out to the general public. Normal people who I talk to about Google go, oh yeah, I heard about that. So if the person on the street is hearing about this, this is about the point where people are starting to realize that there's something going on. It's not quite there. We probably got at least one more year of this crud. But eventually you're going to reach this point where people are just going to say, just don't care anymore. I think the 2018 elections in America is going to be the watershed. Because right now I know a lot of Democrats are betting everything on the 2018. And if they lose the 2018 elections, if it gets even worse for the Democrats, it is going to break them. That is where
they'll start throwing more Molotovs and calling for more assassinations. It's just
I don't
idiotic.
think that's the case. I think this is the point where they will just lose hope.
Yeah,
That
I think
being
they're going to
said,
be.
and then this whole mess is going to abate. As it does, I think your prediction, Randy, is quite on par. Right now, you're going to see it's the Pareto effect, where you have a bell curve, and the smartest people are the first ones to leave. The problem is the top 1% makes 50% of your content. The top 20% or 80% of your profits. And so if you lose the top 1% of your talent, you don't lose. You're not at 99% efficiency. You're at 50% efficiency. And I think Google's already been losing people.
I think a lot of people are realizing to, use what you were talking about earlier, is that there's a lot of calls of, hey, come check my closet. There might be a monster. But people are self-actualizing now and realizing that, God damn, I am the monster in the closet, and I'm not such a bad monster comparatively. What the hell are these freaks talking about?
Oh, yeah, no, I for the record, if you're listening to this, you're probably a good person. If somebody's telling you you're a bad person by the very nature of your existence, they're wrong. Did I tell you my new formula that I figured out? It was the weirdest thing that occurred to me the other day.
What?
Somebody was trying to tell me the whole prejudice plus institutional power equals racism. And I had this weirdest dream about it. I'll skip the dream because it's truly bizarre. But basically in the dream, I figured out, wait a minute, who wants to make racism? Why would you give up power to make racism? What happens if you reverse the equation? Do I get power if I remove prejudice from racism? That doesn't make any sense. The real equation is prejudice, which is prejudging someone, and racism, which is the actual action. You add those two together, you get power. You find prejudiced people, you act racist to get them to do what you want, and that's how you get power. Prejudice plus racism equals power. Okay, it isn't anything plus power that equals racism.
That's how the FBI did it with the KKK in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah. So anybody who's out there who's telling you prejudice plus institutional power makes racism, you go, who wants racism? Not even racists admit they're racist. No, it's prejudice plus racism creates power. And power reveals your true nature. It is the love of power that corrupts, not power itself. The problem is people who don't love power, they don't get to be in charge. So who gets to be in charge? People who are addicted to power.
Is the fear of losing that power as well.
Yeah, and trust me, power is addictive. I can attest for that personally. But in the end, I think that, Randy Raccoon is right. You're going to see these big companies, they're hemorrhaging their top talent, and their top talent is going to go out and do their own thing. And I think we're going to see some beautiful stuff. If we can just stop censorship of the internet, I think that's the key. If we can just hold out for a couple of years, I think that you're going to see a new golden age. Unfortunately, the internet doesn't forget. I have a feeling this may be the last time we have to deal with this bullshit. But any other thoughts on this topics before we move on to the next big one?
I just hope you're right.
Yeah, because I think with the upcoming midterm elections in 2018, I do think the Democrats are going to be doubling down. And they're going to be pushing more feminist politicians or would-be politicians that are going to be, putting their names forward for Congress. And I think they're just going to get their asses handed to them. I mean, look at the Gazi Kodzo's own whipping boy putting himself up for mayor.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes, they are doubling down. They even remember that woman who was saying we need to White people need to shut up more at the DNC convention. White people need to shut up more. They need to listen to black people more. The black moderator tries to cut her off, and she goes, wait, I'm not done. Did you just what?
Self-awareness.
No self-awareness. None whatsoever.
I bet you see that all the time. It's like their resolution is set to really low.
I honestly have come to the conclusion that I think a lot of these Democrats don't even think they're white. They hate white people and they don't think they're white. They've done
a hell of a lot more forgetting than they have learning.
Yeah, they've just got this. There's no other word for it other than they don't think they are what they are. And it's the only explanation. Either that or they're actually evil, which is a possibility. They may know exactly what they're doing and they're actually evil, but I prefer to think that they're all incredibly myopic and stupid.
Yeah, I personally don't think, a vast majority of them are evil. I think they've been indoctrinated. That's a strong word, but it's probably the right word. Into thinking, when you've been told this and that and this and that your entire life, no matter if that is good or bad, if you are unaware of the bad that is being taught to you, you therefore think it's good. I mean, I know that's circular and it sounds unreasonable as hell, but in their head, that's how they've grown up, and they've never stepped outside of it to experience anything beyond that because they've stuck to it. It's like a religion, really. I guess that's kind of a cop-out, just saying, oh yeah, it's like a religion without being able to give a sound argument one way or the other. But that's just that's my feels, man.
I had a video about it if anybody wants to check it out in my Eldritch lessons where I talk about social justice work. I don't want to reiterate the whole thing here, but basically, yeah, it isn't a religion, it's a faith, which is religion. But there comes a point where you just need to accept things on faith. And if you never question your own beliefs, you're kind of screwed. And I do it myself. I only recently had it exposed to me that I had a blind spot. I rabidly hated socialism. Rabidly. Hated it in all of its forms. And it took talking to Stefan Molyneux for him to put through. The problem isn't the socialism. The problem is the government-run socialism. Privatized socialism is fine. And you might be saying, oh, well, that sounds obvious. Charities are fine as long as they're privately run. I could not see past that. The idea, I saw all socialism comes from the government. There was no form of socialism that wasn't from the government.
Socialism is a form of government. It's not a lifestyle.
No, so, it's an added, you can't have socialism without government. It is possible. You can't have voluntary socialism.
I'd probably end up sounding more like an idiot being the devil's advocate on that one, but I was with you. It
took a lot of argument for me to finally be able to see it is possible, because a family unit is socialism. A sports team on the field is socialism. The goal is for us to get a goal, not for all of us to get the most goals. And in fact, if you look at sports teams where they apply capitalistic, principles, you get paid by the goal, those teams actually suffer. It's weird. I mean, if you look at the talent pool, usually when you get to that level, they're so much more talented than everybody else. But if you look in between on mid-range, not these pros, but, advanced amateurs, when you start to do capitalism to each individual shot, it fails because it builds up to resentment. In families where you have a fixed, what do you call it? When you give money to your kids every month.
Allowance.
When you have a fixed allowance that you either give or take away based on their moral behavior, it works fine. But when you've done families where they say you get paid extra money per job, it tends to build up resentment from the children to the parents. As long as it's as long as it's like socialism style, it's fine. And then the reason why that it works in small groups is because people see each other as humans. You have empathy. It stops working once you get any group over 300. You get too large a group, people stop giving a crap about each other. And if you don't care about each other, socialism fails. And that's ultimately why socialism fails from a government, because it comes from the barrel of a gun. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
I think a lot of it has to do with just, it's a hard thing to understand if your brain hasn't developed all the way into adulthood. And unfortunately, most brains don't progress that far, even into their 90s.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I believe the actual biological truth is our brains aren't finished cooking until we're 25. You know, that is the point where you're pretty much done cooking. Up until that point, there's some pretty stupid stuff you can do.
I think my only objection to calling private stuff that you do in your private life, like amongst family and friends, socialism, is that it to me, socialism is a form of government, period. My roommate just said a great one, let's call it socializing. It's the wording, it's the implication of governed, when it's just not being a douche nozzle most of the time.
Oh, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I think the problem is, as you said, the terminology. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, I could not see any form of socialism that wasn't run by a government. And as such, from my personal experience, I see a lot of private organizations, a lot of not-for-profit charities. They usually wind up very corrupt. But after I got to the looking at it and say, no, the reason they got corrupt is because the government regulated them. A lot of times, some of them failed just because there were idiots in charge. But a lot of them failed because of government intervention. Like, the government set up policies that directed these non-for-profits to act in certain ways that resulted in corruption. And them doing really, I don't want to get into the details because it would take too long. But, it's a bit of an eye-opener to me to say that, there might be a form of very small socialism out there. Like, maybe under 100 people, as long as everybody's voluntary and does it themselves. But anything beyond that, no, it's doomed to failure. It's utterly doomed to failure.
I'm of the philosophy that you've got to be 100% willing to let it go. It's kind of like my views on evolution. We need to allow for speciation amongst our own kind to advance, which means some of us might have to split off and go do something different. And that's kind of on a grand scale. That's just how things work in the universe, is sometimes shit splits off and does something different.
Oh, exactly. Here's the harsh part of it, though. Somebody's going to fail. Now, the question is, do we intervene and save everybody, which is what socialism does, and in effect, limit evolution, and probably in the long run cause more harm? Or do we suck it up and let some people fail, which causes harm, but probably nowhere near as much as if we allow the government to interfere? That's the problem, because you feel like you're being cruel. But if you actually interfere, you're harming so many more people just to save a few. So, speaking of socialism, that would bring us to North Korea. Before I get ranting on it, do we have anybody want to talk about it a bit?
I'm just going to go with what Ollie North said, is that everybody's talking about nuclear war this, nuclear war that. We could probably use, a fifth of a percent of our conventional arms, and the whole place would look like a burnt Pop-Tart.
Yeah, that's 100%. I'm with that. Any other thoughts? Mr. Gert?
I just got back now, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were moving on to North Korea.
Yeah.
And Keki, are you there? Do you want to talk at all?
Not really.
Do you have any thoughts on North Korea before I rant a bit, Mr. Gert?
I'll let you rant and then I'll add.
Okay, basically what we got here is, if you're looking at the history of North Korea, it was a bad idea. It got founded in communism. It was supported by the commies in order to basically oppose America. We supported South Korea. They supported North Korea. Eventually, we kind of came to a draw. But people seem to forget that we threatened repeatedly to nuke the crap out of North Korea. And we didn't. And so we've kind of had this stalemate for decades now. It's a communist country. Every other communist country has lasted about 70 years and then imploded. So I have no doubt that if we just wait, probably about another 20 years, North Korea probably will implode too. Now, here's the problem.
There's always a meanwhile.
Yeah, there's always a meanwhile. And the problem is that we have been letting North Korea get away with a lot of shit. Because over there in Europe, we all do the polite crap. You know, hi, how's it going? We sit down, we shake, we have days and days of talking about bullshit. And then eventually they get around to going, oh, by the way, maybe you want to take those missiles out of Cuba. In China, in North Korea, South Korea, in Japan, all those countries, they're very, very quiet and polite. But then they say, I'm going to cut off your fingers. Or we're going to go to war. Or I'm going to blow you up. They're very blunt, direct, and to the point when it comes to being threatening. They don't always do it, though. They usually come out, they put all their cards on the table and say, this is what I'm going to hit you with. And then they go, the other guy goes, this is what I'm going to hit you with. And then they kind of sit there and look at it, and then they usually come to some sort of conclusion beforehand. If you look at a lot of the history of China before it unified, they did have some battles, but usually those battles were overwhelmingly crushing. And then they went over to the other group and said, this is what we bring to the table. And they say, this is what we bring to the table. And then usually there was some sort of peaceful surrender because they just said, you know what, let's not go through this. Up until now, we've been dealing with North Korea by kind of using European style, and they have no respect for us. I'm actually glad that Donald Trump came out and said, if you start anything with Guam, there's going to be an event like the world has never seen. Not quite, saying we will nuke your ass, but basically he's saying we'll nuke your ass. And that's what you have to do. Because if they don't think you're strong, if you don't say what you're going to do up front, they don't take you seriously. That's the culture.
Yeah, what did you say? There's going to be fire and fury, something like that.
Now, what do I think is actually going to happen? Well, unfortunately, Trump's different, but we have created a history where we tell a country, you need to disarm from these weapons of mass destruction. Oh, you've disarmed? Okay, we're invading you. We did that to Iraq. We did that to Libya. We didn't invade Libya, but we helped them get overthrown. I'm sorry, but Hillary laughed as Gaddafi got killed in a sewer. Sorry, but that's not right. I don't care what your opinion about him is. Look at the shithole Libya has turned into. They have open slave marts. Okay? I'll take Gaddafi back any day of the week. If we could hit the Wayback Machine and take back Gaddafi, I will take back Gaddafi because he didn't have open air slave marts. Holy crap. That's why I'm also worried about, Syria. Because we don't need to get, all we're doing is the way Ronald Reagan handled things, which is we go in, when we see something we don't like, we blow it up from the sky, and then we go away and say, don't do it again. That's how Ronald Reagan handled all of his problems. I'm for that. Go in. Maybe we don't even need a full-scale war. Just go in, blow up their nuclear facilities and say, stop making nukes. You make any more, we will come in and blow them up too. Screw where the radiation goes. We will blow it up. Just stop it. Or if we're going to take... go ahead.
There's really nothing more annoying than a mother that will sit there telling her kid, no, you keep doing that, I'm going to swat you. No, you better stop doing that or I'm going to give you a timeout. Somebody's got to step in and slap that little motherfucker into the next world. Sorry for the cussing, but that's the way it's got to be. And Kim Jong or whatever the hell his name is, he should be afraid for his life because he's fucking with some big boys. And I really don't think his people got his back since most of them are trying to get the hell out to South Korea.
Oh, yeah. Or up into China. They've got a whole city right along the border. But, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, They're saying that in 20 years' time, then North Korea will probably be imploding. It's already on its knees. The country is fucked already. Has anyone seen the documentary? I can't remember what it's called, something like Prisoner 41 or something like that.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Well, basically, they have camps there where it's a 3-generational criminal system. If someone does a crime, then it's not just them that goes to prison, it's their parents and the kids.
What?
Oh yeah. They have the feeling that we can't, since everybody has nothing to lose over there. They have no food. They own nothing. That's the problem when you live in a communist country. You've got nothing to lose except for your family. So the only leverage they have is if you screw up, we come after the people you love. It's kind of what Saddam Hussein did. And it's kind of what Gaddafi did. When you're dealing with people who feel like they've got nothing to lose, who are crazy, the only way to hold them in the line is to say, I'm not going to come for you. I'm going to come for your family. That's right after we knocked over Iraq, the first year was fine. But very slowly they realized, wait a minute, you're not going to punish my family? Nobody else pays the crime for what I do? Oh, in that case, I'm going to run around and murder a whole bunch of people, and then you can kill me. But, those people will still be dead. That sort of mindset is really hard to overcome. And the only way to really keep them under line is to say, you don't pay the price when you screw up. The people you care about pay the price. Well, when you've got nothing else to lose, it's the only thing that works. I mean, it's awful. It's horrible. But if you need to maintain control, it's how you do it.
I'm pretty sure in their leadership's minds, they're supposed to have allegiance to the government. So if they're somehow fucking up and not doing exactly how we tell them, they must be getting it from their family, and they probably passed it on to their kids. So we need to just dig out the whole cancer is probably how they justify it to themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm thinking the best thing that we can wish for is that the North Korean president somehow ends up dead, and that it falls apart that way, and then maybe we can give these people some aid.
A really easy way to
help
get
them
dead
come
would be
into
to
the 21st century with the rest of us, because they really, really want to be here with us. They do. And that's where my hopes are, is that this family dictatorship dies the hell out. And, sure, it's going to be anarchy and it's going to be crap for a while. And people are going to get hurt, but they're going to come out of it because they've been trying to for a long time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you clearly, Keck.
Never mind.
All right. I have a couple of theories. One thing that I would advise for Kim Jong-un, if I was him and I wanted to win this, my theory, if I was his dictatorship, what I would do is I wouldn't turn over the nukes. I hate to say it, because every country that does that, America invades anyways. So whether you like it or not, basically having nuclear weapons is the country level of the Second Amendment. If you don't have the guns, somebody's going to push you around. If you don't have the nukes, somebody's going to push your country around. I hate to say it. I don't want to support him or having nukes, because I think he's a madman, but I intellectually understand his position. But trying to put them on missiles, that's giving people an excuse. So what I would do is to say, okay, you got 20 nukes. I'd put them under each one of his major cities and say, come on, invade me. Go on. We will blow ourselves up. And China will go, whoa, wait a minute. We don't want a radioactive peninsula next to us. And Japan's going to go, wait a minute. All that fallout's going to land on us. And South Korea is going to go, wait a minute. We're right next door to these nut jobs. We would really like it if our peninsula didn't become radioactive slag.
Boy, I hope the hell he's not listening to this stream.
Oh, I think he's already prepared to do it. I just don't think he's telling anyone.
I mean, it's kind of the Israeli scorched earth policy type of thing. Is you fuck with us, we got nukes, and we'll even nuke ourselves.
Yeah, I mean that worked.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Kim Jong-un actually wears some kind of dead man's trigger.
Oh yeah, I fully believe that he's got, in the event that I'm killed, you activate all the nukes and take the country out with me. I really believe that. He seems like the kind of guy. The problem is, if you're going to do that kind of crazy thing, you have to tell everybody. I don't know if anybody saw Dr. Strangelove, the movie where America and Russia were built doomsday devices. And the reason why everybody died is because Russia said, well, sorry, we built a doomsday device, but we can't turn it off. And, well, we were going to tell everybody we had one next week. You know, so if you're preparing to nuke yourself, you tell everybody you will not have a country if you come in. But we have no missiles to reach you, so you have no reason to attack us because you're not in danger, and just leave us alone, which would work. You know, and I have a feeling Trump would take that. He would say, you know what? We don't want them to blow themselves up. It would be wrong. And they would back away. And then leave North Korea to self-destruct. We spend more money in military aid to South Korea than the entire GDP of North Korea. Okay? We are going to spend them to death. No question about it. We just need to make sure they don't kill anybody on the way out. But my personal opinion is, if they are truly this unstable, which I don't believe it, because after all, the entire alphabet soup of intelligence committees keep telling us, oh, now they've got 50 nukes. Now they've got internet. Now they've got militaries. And remember when you told us about the weapons of mass destruction in the last 3 wars? You know, remember when you couldn't predict the collapse of Russia? Remember when you couldn't predict 9/11? I don't exactly trust your prediction abilities. But let's say we actually have to go to war. We should not send one boot on the ground over there. I would rather turn over the entire country to China. Okay? I would rather us go to China and say, hey, China, we're going to put a bunch of ships around North Korea. You say, we're going to protect North Korea, and you bring your troops into North Korea to bolster their defenses. And then at a predetermined moment, you turn around, shoot Kim Jong-il in the head, and take over the place. You know, because I would rather have it in the hands of China than in the charge of that guy. That guy, I honestly believe, has already set up nukes to blow himself up. You know, he just hasn't told anyone. Oh, that's my 2 theories on things.
I prefer it to be under South Korea's hands, though. Ideally.
Oh, ideally, I'd prefer to be it too. And I believe if we can keep China out of this, and we did a surprise attack, we could completely annihilate the border in an hour. The problem is they have a bunch of artillery with really high-powered stuff, and they could devastate a good portion of South Korea before they go down.
Yeah.
And if we're going to do it, I think we should do it quickly, because I suspect they don't actually have any serious nukes, because the nukes they have been setting off have been really low yield. I mean, okay, they set off a nuke and it kills everything within a mile. You know, that's kind of bad, but it's not horrible.
Well, they often have blackouts and brownouts there, even in the government buildings.
Yeah, all we need to do is, you know, wait for one rolling blackout, and then boom, 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 boom. They won't be able to talk to each other. So, but I hate to say it, I don't know what the right choice here is. I just hope that we keep the deaths to a minimum, you know, so. Personally, I think once North Korea goes down, though, and if we're going to act, let's act. You know, let's do it. You know, I don't think we should do this half-assed, but South Korea should be the one invading, because they've been told that America's coming to murder everybody for years. So we blow up all their defenses. We let South Korea move in. And I have a feeling that they would welcome South Korea, because South Korea is kind of like, they kind of view them as their retarded cousins. So I don't think that they would commit suicide if South Korea invaded. But I think that if America invaded, a whole lot of people would, just because of how long they've been fed propaganda, would kill themselves rather than be taken alive.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on North Korea situation?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
I just want to briefly touch on our favorite topic of Venezuela, or Quecazuela as I like to call it. Trump refused to take the phone call from Maduro. He hasn't ruled out military intervention in Venezuela, but personally I think that'd be a really bad idea. I don't think it would improve the situation, unfortunately. They kind of had to sort this out themselves. And I suspect that Maduro's doesn't have quite the iron grip on his military as he thinks he does. Because I think he's running out of money to pay them. And I think they're basically mercenaries. They're only as loyal as their cash flow. Any thoughts on Venezuela?
I've not been keeping up, but if that's true, and well, we know that they're running out of money. So yeah, I do think it's only a matter of time until he's overthrown.
Well, I mean, Peru just recently expelled the ambassador from Venezuela. So none of his neighbors like him. Trump isn't taking his phone calls. I think you're getting to that point where I think that it's going to be put up or shut up, because they've already instituted basically full-blown dictatorship with their new government.
Randy seems to have lost his mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy. Hope you can find it. You know, I mean, we're winding down at this point, anyways.
I think I fixed it.
Oh, good.
Yep.
I mean, those are the big three depressing things that have been going on. If anybody else wants to talk about any stuff, we do have. I think we got one new Florida man thing. You want to bring it up, Keck?
All right. So, Florida man was caught growing the world's hottest pepper. I'm assuming he's going to use it to make a new, most painful pepper spray to use on his enemies in the future.
What do you mean caught?
Yeah, is it illegal to grow it?
No, it's not illegal, but
weaponizing
it was exactly a widely known thing that he was doing it.
Right. Yeah. Growing it itself isn't the problem. It's turning it into pepper spray that is. Right. Yeah, I can kind of see that problem. But down in Florida,
the quote from him was, the world's hottest peppers. He said, "I've always enjoyed hot stuff. I always liked peppers and pepper sauce and hot sauces, but jalapenos and Tabascos never really cut it." And so he grows the world's hottest pepper.
Ow. Yeah, Florida man is weaponizing food. Love Florida man. We need more from Florida man. Florida man, if you're out there, you need to step up your game. You know, simply having your banks implode is not enough.
I actually thought about that before. Like, say if, a shit hits the fan situation happened. Because we don't have guns in the UK, unfortunately, if you did grow things like Carolina Reapers or Ghost Chilies or things like that, put them in a squirty gun. I can't remember what they're called now.
You'd have to put it in a blender first.
Yeah, to get it really thinned out. But yeah, that would make an ideal weapon.
Oh, I don't know if you guys have ever tried Wild Bill's Insanity Sauce, but I tried that once. And I wanted to cut my tongue off. I liked hot foods at the time. It was crazy. It's the kind of sauce where you don't actually put it directly on your food. You just kind of wave the chicken wing over the bottle, let the fumes get on it. I am not kidding. The fumes alone from this stuff. Wild Bill's Insanity Sauce. I don't know if they still make it. But that stuff could be weaponized. That stuff would burn bare skin.
I don't want to try it.
Oh, I don't know if it's still out there. Wild Bill's Insanity Sauce. You cut it with other stuff. You don't take it raw.
Yeah, when you're handling things like I can't even say Carolina. When you're handling those kind of peppers, you do have to wear gloves. That's how hot they are.
Well, you certainly don't want to get a cut, that's for sure.
Oh, ooh.
I mean, I've eaten like 5 of the nuclear wings from BW3s around here, and those things make face burn. But I went into some other sports bar one time, and they had their hot wings. They brought those damn things into the room, and you started crying.
Wow.
Well, it's addictive. It is. Like, yeah, it causes heartburn, but when you take a lot of that hot sauce, it releases endorphins. Like you get a high from it when you've eaten enough. And it does have the upside that for some reason, when I was eating a lot of the hot wings, I never got sick. Like, and that is a rather common thing that I know from people who like really hot stuff. Those spices, for some reason, kill all the germs in your bloodstream. It's bizarre. Like nothing can survive to get in your mouth.
Yeah, there is a lot of healthy things with chili. Same with onions and garlic and other kinds of things. But yeah, it is really healthy as well.
I did a quick search and I couldn't find anything for Wild Bill's Insanity Sauce.
I bet it's out of... I mean, you got to understand this like 20 years ago when I used to work for... Although, if I ever could do my dream job, it would be to open up a place like that and sell the heart attack on a bun again. Nobody deep fries bacon. Nobody. You can't get deep fried bacon anywhere.
That's just insane.
Probably for the better.
I know.
Well, go to Scotland. They'll do it.
Oh, yeah. Deep fried bacon.
They deep fry everything.
Deep fried
I'll
bacon.
tell you,
Mm-mm.
one of the best things I've come up with in the kitchen, okay, is first you fry the bacon towards, just on the edge of crispy. And then you make some batter like you would for fried chicken. And you roll the bacon in that and then throw it in the deep fat fryer. Yeah.
Oh.
You got to try that sometime.
That sounds nice.
That sounds nice. Deep fried breaded bacon. Well. At any rate, one other silly thing that was left on the list here that I want to stop on something a little funny. Walmart says gun display back to school promotion was a prank. Apparently, somebody at Little Rock, Arkansas, with their back to school specials, put the sign saying, "Own the school like a hero," atop a gun case at their store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
I don't care who you are. That's fucking hilarious.
That is awesome, yes. And it was combining their Walmart's superhero-themed back-to-school promotion. So,
oh my
the school like a hero on top of a gun rack. Which hero are you talking about? The Punisher?
Once again, a meme warrior reigns supreme.
Oh, yeah, that is true. To whoever pulled this off, if you don't get fired, well, even if you do get fired, a slow clap, my friend. Slow clap, indeed. I tipped my hat to you, says.
Oh, by the way, Keck, I'm wearing that Punisher tag now that you got me.
Nice. I finally got the right one.
Awesome.
Well, so... But apparently Walmart quickly said, no. Whoever put that up there, we will launch an investigation. So,
yeah, I used to work for...
I bet Trump could build his wall with the bricks that were shit.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing. They don't have a brick to shit. They don't. I'm sorry. Somebody found this and there was a great outrage. Oh my God, you're promoting gun violence in a store. No, they're not. No, not even close. There isn't a kid out there who's going to buy a gun to go shoot up a store because of that sign.
No.
And Walmart has nothing to apologize about. Just like that guy who went around and said at Google, hey, maybe we should stop being an echo chamber. He has nothing to say he's sorry about. Google has something to apologize
I'm just thinking of the bricks that the manager shit when he saw that and was God. Fuck, I'm screwed.
Oh, yeah, he knew he was screwed because Walmart was going to show no mercy on him. Like, how dare you? This got out. You've ruined our reputation. And, I agree with Keck on this one. If somebody says something stupid in public that ruins your company's, reputation, yes, you do have the right to fire them if you want, but you also need to think about the consequences of firing that person. All right. If you look like more of a dick for firing somebody than just going, oops, it was an accident, you don't win, and it's time that companies started to realize you don't have to bow to any of these social justice idiots. In fact, you will probably get more business for telling social justice warriors to go screw themselves.
I used to work at a company, that's owned by Walmart in the UK, and I used to do the displays. And I did one day have to set up one that was very ill thought out. It was by Stella Artois, the beer, and it was in the middle of summer, and it was all about the Masters, the golf, one of the big golf tournaments going on.
Okay.
And so it showed like a really nice glass with the grass behind it, and it just said the best drive of summer or something like that. I just thought, beer, driving, really?
What a great idea.
Yes, if you want to drive, this is the beer for you.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Most accidentally racist display I've ever seen in a store was they have what in the hell? They're popsicles and they're called Great Whites, and they're basically white, but there's like 3 different flavors in them. It's like a bomb pop, but without the colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're called Great Whites. And they had them in this one store in like a case, which was like a shit ton of them, right? Guess the price.
How much?
$14.88.
I was about to say it wasn't 1488, was it? Oh dear God! Great Whites, 1488. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that was back when I was in my 20s. Right after I got married, we saw that in the store.
That is beautiful. Oh God. Although, for me, I didn't see it myself, but I heard about it. My all-time favorite motto was Pepsi when they were going over to South Korea. Actually, was it South Korea or maybe it might have been Hong Kong? They did a poor translation of their motto, and it came out to Pepsi. It will raise your ancestors from the dead. It was supposed to be it gives you
life, or
gives you life, but it translated into raises your ancestors from the dead.
Did that go over well?
They recalled everything, but part of me was like, no, do not recall that. Run with that.
That's beautiful.
That is a beautiful thing. You go, no, we didn't intend this, but we're keeping it. In fact, I would go with in America. I would say, hey, Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the dead. Just because it'd be so stupid. Nobody would take it seriously. Oh, but they probably think they offended so many people. Oh, we can't offend anyone. Ah, well. Let's see.
Well, there's a difference between offense and going, oh, dumb American.
Oh, yeah. Any rate. Any other topics anybody wants to bring up?
No, none from me.
All right, well, I think we've addressed all the topics, and at least we ended on somewhat of a positive note here. I think overall, what we're dealing with at this time period for humanity is, it's kind of like all the stupidity's finally coming to a head. And as long as sane people are willing to stand up and go, hey, that's stupid, I think this will finally blow over. The problem is if you're listening to this, you have to be one of the sane people. We need every human being out there to step up and point out stupidity. Because if you don't
the Sarkeesian effect.
Yeah, it's the Sarkeesian effect. We need to. We need to. Everybody needs to step up and point out stupidity. No matter what you think that stupidity is. Because the more people who point out stupidity, even if you're wrong, overall it will start more of a discussion. Just be willing to accept the fact that maybe you're wrong. I've been wrong. And be willing to talk with people. Don't just say, this is wrong, and then shut your ears. And go, la, 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 I'm not listening.
Could you imagine if we ran around with air horns and honked them every time somebody said something we didn't like? It would be loud.
Yeah.
Oh my God, but it would be so much fun.
It'd be so much fun, but remember this. How do you know if somebody's being oppressed? They're not allowed to get angry. Who in society is allowed to get angry?
Everyone except white, cis, het males.
Pretty much, yeah. And who aren't you allowed to make fun of? That's
everybody.
The faggots, the trannies, the blacks, etc.
Honestly, I'll say this though. The reason why, unfortunately, white males are doing so well is because life is so hard. We have more losers, more people living in gutters, more homeless, more people in a ditch, but we also have more success stories too. Because when you make life hard, you improve. If you go easy on someone, they get soft. So in the end, it's helpful as a group, but it is not helpful to individuals. Right? And you wonder why there's only 17% of women in an organization? Well, it's because probably the job sucks and we've gone too easy on them and they just can't, measure up. If you go easy on somebody, they don't grow. That's the problem. Oh,
we've done all of this innovation in the name of comfort, and it's come around and bitten us right in our nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the saying goes, hard times make good men make good times create weak men create hard times.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cycle. I'm hoping that maybe we'll finally get to a point where we can break it. I'm not sure if it's not going to happen anytime soon, but I can see a future where we eventually do. At any rate, unless there's anything else you guys want to ramble about, I can ramble about anything. This might be a good place to wrap things up. Any other last thoughts here?
Don't forget to listen to the stream every week. It will bring your ancestors back from the dead.
Yes, that's our new motto. Eldritch Rants. It brings your ancestors back from the dead. That'll go over well. At any rate, so besides necromancy, I don't think we've got anything else. Well, it's been real and it's been fun. I can't say it's been real fun. I am Unthoff Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you have been listening to Eldritch Rants. I hope you all, one and all, have a pleasant day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for your time, and have a nice day.